Hey there, Patreon, and thank you everybody for joining us here at our live event kickoff for the Toy Fairs podcast. We got a lot of fun coming in 2026 as we get into every issue of Toy Fair. Of course, we're going to kick off with issue number 1, so get geared up for that. There's going to be a lot to talk about, but we are excited to have our group here that is joining us for our event, that we're just going to be hanging out and talking here. I'm getting very official right now, but it's going to be much more casual than this. We got a few little segment things we'll go through and just talk together, but we've been getting to know each other. We're waiting for William Bruce West. It's his birthday, everybody. So when he shows up, we're going to make a big old deal. But for now,
why are you whispering? He's not in the room with you.
This is the surprise part. We gotta keep it there. He could be in the driveway right now, walking up.
Yes, he flew to Montana. Yes.
But anyway, yeah. So this is just a fun time. I mean, I feel like Toy Fair magazine was an encapsulation of an excitement that we already felt. Like, all of us were so hyped about our action figures and everything we wanted to collect. And then it just said, and it's on a page each month. And we're getting the updates on what's to come, how our favorite lines are expanding and all of that. So just as I thought it'd be fun just to let everybody introduce themselves for the other patrons who don't know you yet. So just give us your name and then tell us, what was your number one toy line as a kid? Doesn't have to be super detailed, but just be like, this is the one that I was buying them all or whatever. So why don't we start, I guess, I don't know, I'm looking, kind of in our Brady setup here, but Matt, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I think I'm one of the newer patrons. I've been listening for a long time. It's but you guys are doing Toy Fair, so I'm like, okay, I will plunk down my money. I need to be part of this.
We suckered you in.
But for me, growing up, my number one toy line was always G.I. Joe.
I love those G.I. Joes for sure.
I mean, G.I. Joe is just, kind of an all-timer for so many people, and just the volume, right, of G.I. Joe. That's what it came down to. You were never at a loss for a new figure or vehicle.
Yeah. So. Yeah, if I turned the laptop, you could see all the vintage Joes on that wall and then all the classified Joes on that wall.
Oh, that's cool.
Love it. All right, Lee, how about for you?
The number one toy line for me has always been Batman, the animated series, the original line from the early 90s. It just hit at the perfect point. I was 5 years old when the 1989 movie came out, and then that animated series, perfect timing. And I remember there was just a Christmas. It's very nostalgic for me. I had a Christmas where I got everything from my mom and dad from that. All I wanted was the figures, the Batcave, the Batwing, all that stuff. So that's definitely my number one.
Nice.
I feel like I don't hear a lot of people say specifically the animated series line, so I'd love to hear that. That's a cool little niche to have over there. How about for you?
For me, definitely as a kid, I'm going to have to agree with Matt. It was G.I. Joe, a real American hero. The American military propaganda machine had a weirdly large presence in Australia. Yeah, but I didn't read the comics or watch the show or anything. That was kind of all that happened before I came to it. But that Ninja Force line really hooked me in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, at least they were an actual couple, so that's actually to the lore that actually makes sense. So
they were married. It's fine. But no, I would have been I don't know, 8 or 9, something like that.
That's funny.
At IB, we see you lurking in the shadows over there. Do you want to share your favorite toy line with us?
Hey guys, long-time listener, new patron. I'm multitasking, so the camera's off, wrapping presents and other stuff. But started in the early '80s with Star Wars, and then the main thing became G.I. Joe, and then dabbled in other things, but pretty much G.I. Joe up until modern times now. Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified. It just keeps on going on and on. So yep.
I want to know who was the marketing person that said in 2010, I've got this whole market of 30 and 40 something year old guys that are just going to buy the same crap they bought in the 80s and buy it again for triple the price.
It worked.
It worked. Totally worked. It really did. I want to be that guy.
I mean, what they should disposable income, and larger figures sold.
Exactly.
Well, because I feel like they owe so much to the marketing people of the 80s, and early 90s, where they're just like, look how much they made us think we needed this. And we only ever got a sliver, right? We got a portion of it. We didn't have all of it. Then we got our disposable income. It's like, now I can have all of it. I can't have breakfast, but I can have a new G.I. Joe figure.
I saw a funny meme. It was like, oh, somebody just had like extra money from their paycheck and they bought like an expensive figure. Then they're like, oh, I had a credit card bill the next day, something like that, or like water bill or something like that. It just cracked me up the way that the meme was. Adam, what about you though? What was your like go-to? I want to say it's. I feel like it's Dick Tracy, but I feel like it's something. But
no, I mean Dick Tracy was just it was a moment in time, and I had some fun. I had like 2 of the figures. No, for me it was definitely Spider-Man the animated series. That line, that Toy Biz line, because like I bought a lot of X-Men too, but the X-Men I didn't have like a connection to because I wasn't really reading, and I just thought there were so many cool designs, so I would just buy a character because they look cool, which I think most kids were doing. But Spider-Man, I knew everybody. So like I just wanted every new one that came out, and I'd be just like studying the back of the box. I'm like, how am I going to get this one? Okay, Chameleon's kind of dumb. I'm not going to get Chameleon. Okay, maybe not Doc Ock, but Scorpion. Scorpion's got the tail. Okay, I'm going to Scorpion. So that was the one for me where my shelf, and even I kind of pared down the collection a while ago, but that is, like I kept a fair amount of my Spider-Man figures, and my son comes in all the time. He's like, can we play Spider-Man? They're still like the best figures, like through the generations. They're just so colorful. They have great accessories and action features, and yeah.
That's cool. So I took some pictures of things that I've been on a pursuit, and I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I'll show you what I've been working on here. So let's see. I'm going to go here. Okay. So
Michael's Quest.
So over the last 10 years or so, I've been slowly trying to recollect all of my Batman and Batman Returns action figures. So instead of trying to hold them up, I took pictures of them tonight. And so I think Steven gave me this one. And then Pete gave me this one.
Ooh.
I forget who. Did you give me this one, Adam?
I don't know. I think I might have been the Catwoman.
Maybe you were the Catwoman. Maybe Pete was this one. Yes. And then Pete found me this one, which is my favorite of all time. I love this one.
It's still one of my favorites.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and it is mint on card. This is another one of my huge favorites. I love this one. Then there's this one. And then I've got this and this. And I am slowly but surely over the next, I'm going to say 10 years, I will rebuy every single one of both those lines collectively and have them all. I don't know if I'm going to take them out of the box yet or not, but I want them all again because my mother gave them away when I was a kid.
Especially was premium. That was just amazing when that came around. And look who's here! It's the birthday man himself. Really, Bruce West, no longer a boy. He is a man this day.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
No worries. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Man.
Happy birthday. It's a good excuse to be late.
Thank you. And I love that Shadow Wing Batman. That was one of my favorites too, girl.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll just say with those Kenner Batman figures, it was just the likenesses. You'd never seen anything like that before, that the sculpts were so spot on.
Yeah.
Like, it was beautiful, beautiful.
Michael,
So, Will, we were just going around sharing our favorite toy line, the one that we would zero in on and say, this is the one I was, 100% dialed in and had to hunt down every time a new one was on the peg. So what was it for you?
Ooh, there's a lot, but for the sake of this, I'll just say Toy Biz X-Men. And I had mentioned to you just yesterday, like this is kind of a sore spot for me right now. I had to sell my childhood home on Friday. My mother's in assisted living, and we had to do like a cash sale, basically like to finance keeping her in there. And if you've never done a cash sale, it's not like putting it on the market. Like, it's a quick turnaround. And the whole thing about it is like, okay, you can abandon stuff and they'll clean it up for you. But also, it's like, it's a shopping spree mixed with like your house is on fire in terms of like what you want to grab and like how long you have. So like I was cleaning out the shed like luckily I did it first, and like that's where like I spent the most time, sadly. But for years I thought my mom had thrown away my evil space aliens from Power Rangers because like they were demonic or whatever, and they just had disappeared. Well, I found them in the shed. They were in like this shoebox in a bag. So it had kind of been exposed to the elements and kind of not. But what I also found in there were my Toy Biz X-Men.
Wow.
And I was a huge fan. I did a blog post about this a couple years ago, but ultimately, like a lot of people don't remember, there was a hotline. Like before internet and before all that, if you wanted to know what X-Men figures were coming out, you called the Toy Biz hotline. It was on the back of the card, and it was this automated message that would just read you a list of names. It'd be like Wave 7, Colossus, Cable, Wolverine 3, and then sometimes it didn't know how to pronounce certain ones. It'd be like Magneto 2, you know? But it's like you get the list of like what was supposed to ship, and that's how you stayed on top of it. So for like the first few waves before it turned into like repaints and KB Toys, like 3 for $10 bin things, I was really into that line because they were comic faithful costumes and they had pretty cool action features for the day. That box was kind of exposed to the elements. I didn't have the heart. I didn't have the drive to clean them, but I also can't throw anything away. So I donated them because I was like, somebody out there will clean these up. But I saved a few. So I'm just going to share those tonight.
Oh, wow.
First up, we've got when SNL's Sarah Sherman was Rogue. Amazing likeness. And people, like, if you weren't collecting at the time, this was the figure to find. Like, this was the one where it was like, you heard it was out there, you kind of saw it on the back of the card, but even though they swore women didn't sell because, like, Storm was a peg warmer, this was a hard figure to find. So I was glad to, like, have that. And then, of course, the Jim Lee Cyclops.
Oh, that's a good one.
I came along at that point, the Mutant Genesis part of X-Men, so I had to keep this one. But also, this is a 30-year-old figure, and look at this. Like,
it's still,
I don't know if you can tell, it's still working. His
it
light
still
is
looks
still
fantastic
shining for me.
Wow.
So I got that one. And then I was never a huge Psylocke fan, but I love that there's like a wave that was pretty much based on Joe Mad art. So I kept this one, and these were like light up feature figures where the light is actually in the accessory. So what you would do is kind of like, it had this metal plug that you plugged into their fist, and when you press the button, it would send like the electricity into the accessory so it would light up and they didn't have to worry about too much wiring in the figure. So she had like a psychic knife, which I may have grabbed, but the other one in that line was my main man Gambit here.
Nice.
Wow, that's cool.
He came with this card effect, so ultimately you would put it in here. This is not gonna work. I swear it's not. Nope, it's not gonna work. But like one card would light up. It was never great. Like you're supposed to pretend that like the whole spray would light up, but like you'd get one that would light up pretty well. And it being the era of the running change, we got kind of like his team variant uniform.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know about that
Same
one.
situation, same light up cards, and then the final one that I grabbed was just his original figure with his kick and his slightly erectile dysfunction staff here. But I had
is
to
that
save my game.
the pleather jacket, the really like pleathery, weird feeling jacket?
Oh yeah,
That's like
which is
Obi-Wan's
only
jacket.
this is only the second worst overcoat for an action figure. If you've never seen the IQ from James Bond Jr., it was like that one
James
crawled so
Bond.
this one could run, because that was a terrible execution. But like this was
James
my
Bond
line.
should-
But I never made it to Marvel Legends. Like a lot of people got on board Marvel Legends with Toy Biz. I was out at that point. And when I came back, in a lot of ways, the Toy Biz Legends are better than Hasbro because you had like articulated fingers and things like that. But they're also ugly because they made no attempt to hide the joints or the articulation. So I came back when Hasbro got the Legends license, and I've pretty much been all in on Hasbro now for, what was that, 2008? So, like, yeah, I'm a big Marvel Legends guy now, and just gave up my Toy Biz figures 3 days ago.
Some of that Toy Biz Marvel
Hello.
Legends plastic is awful.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
my
gummy
goodness.
because I kept this
Yes.
theory. People always say, like, can you imagine we paid $10 for these and we got this and that and this and that? But it's amazing. The Nick Fury figure, you got the jetpack, the jet blast, the comic book, the like opening holsters, and that was like a $10 figure. Now we're paying $28 for an extra head for a body we may never build. It's insane.
Yeah.
You get a closed
That's
fist.
Show and tell. This is the one I did grab a couple things from childhood, and I did find this old beast, which this action feature is really bad, but it's a great figure.
That he's supposed to flip.
It
It's
worked
supposed
1
to
out of
flip.
10 times.
Yeah, this thing would never flip for me, and it's still.
Yeah, so we're doing the show and tell. I'm loving that you got that rolling for us, Will. What do we have here? Oh, Tom. Yes.
Wow.
The neon ink on that box is amazing.
That's a great figure, too.
Matt, what are you showing us there? Show us again.
I grabbed a cable from the side.
Cable.
Just to show William.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I gave him up too with his weird side arm. Like he's got that arm that doesn't swivel, it just goes up and down.
But I grabbed some loose type stuff too for when
Yeah.
we show more.
Okay, cool. I'll do one carded figure real quick here. I showed the back of it in our pre-show stuff, but this one, I loved the Toy Biz Marvel talking line. Mine still works. I want to eat your brain. That was being sold to children in 1991 here. You know, like that's what's amazing about this. And like the Punisher is like, vengeance is mine. You know, like it was just like, it was so hilarious, like the violence that was coming through on the toys. Because I feel like even G.I. Joe never went that far. It's like they had the weapons, they had, you know, everything they needed, but it was just, this is just like, I'm going to eat your brains. I'm just saying, you know?
Well, yeah, my son, who's 7, he has like one of the Toy Biz Punisher figures, along with a million other Toy Biz figures, and it's the one I won't let him, like, if he wants to put 2 in his bag to go to school or something with, just for lunch period or something. I'm like, you can't bring Punisher. That's the one I'm not letting you take, kind of thing. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, it's a more adult character. He's like, well, then why'd they sell it to kids? I mean, his logic's already kicking in that way. He's like, yeah, there are a lot of characters, buddy, that they sold to us, and they probably shouldn't have been selling.
Yeah. I mean, it's just how it went back in the day. They
Yeah.
were testing the waters. We were in post-Rambo cartoon era and post-RoboCop and all of that. Speaking of which, because did the Punisher have a cap firing action? And then remember when he got the trench coat that was just like the Gambit one? It was just like a plastic trench
Yep.
coat that went
And
over.
then he has like Uzis and all these other things and like
Yeah.
Gatling guns. I'm just like, no, buddy, this one stays at home.
For sure. I will say, I'm going to share this real quick. This was one of my all-time favorites, the original multi-jointed Spider-Man here from Toy Biz.
Oh yeah.
Great figure.
I spent so many hours with this figure to the point where, like, because they released one for the Spider-Man the animated series that was like much bulkier, like cooler, like he was like more muscular. But I love this one, and he was the first time I customized a figure, because I painted in black and made a black costume figure, because they hadn't released one except for in the Secret Wars line, but I didn't know about that at the time. I wasn't going to find that in 1993. So I had this guy, and I made him into a black costume figure. So this is an alternate I had to buy. I was like, oh, I already ruined that one. No, so that was big.
Speaking of Spider-Man, Adam, you remember the Spider-Man figure that had the 2 suction cups on their hands?
That was disappointing. That first wave of the Toy Biz figures, except for Cap's launching shield, all of those, you're like, oh.
So I had that one, and I was like, how do you make this character do stuff? Because the cups are always there. And after like one use, they didn't stick to anything anymore. You're just like, oh, it's going to fall down.
Yeah.
I think they did that to the
a
smaller too.
nice action feature,
Mind
but
Shield
not a
Spider-Man.
Yes.
And then people would
Who
teach you
else
these
got one?
tricks, and you're like, you have to lick the suction cup. I'm like, the package didn't say that. Like, it's like blowing in the Nintendo cartridge. Where are people learning these things?
I got an interesting one to see if anyone actually knows what it is other than me.
Okay. Is that a Blastar prototype or something? What is that?
No, that's a Magmar from Crystar, the original line. So this is what I keep hoping Marvel Legends will redo.
Oh, Crystar, the Crystal Warrior.
That's funny.
got that comic in my licensed box.
Oh, I've got the full run of that one too. Oh yeah.
I will say, just sticking with Spider-Man real quick, this was personally... Oh, wait, Slinger Crystar, is that an original also? Wow.
Marvel Legends Crystar.
Oh, that's a new one. Okay, I was going to say, I don't think
Marvel
they were that
Legends.
good.
Yeah, no, this is a new one.
That's beautiful.
Wow, that's
I have
cool.
an original, but with no accessories. I thought he was just like Holiday Iceman, because I got him at like an antique store or something, and it took me a while to be like, oh, this is Crystar, because he has none of the accessories.
Yeah.
Oh, the accessories are impossible to find. My Crystar has no accessories, and he will stay that way probably forever, unfortunately.
So what does he have? Just red underwear and red boots? That's all he's
Yeah, pretty
working
much.
with?
He's like fancy Iceman.
Yeah.
You know, like Christmas party Iceman.
That's funny.
I mean, but like, I always loved... Oh, there they go. But like, the fact that they released a Peter Parker figure to me was so huge at the time, because yeah, it's just a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't going to get a J. Jonah Jameson. I think we did eventually, but not in that wave of stuff, you know? And so this, like, I played with him so much because I was just happy he existed. Because other than that, like, the only other alter ego was probably the mail-away Clark Kent, right? For superpowers.
No,
Otherwise,
we got Bruce Wayne, because he had like the one where you put the gloves and he's like really bulky after the...
Yeah.
I guess that's true. We had
yeah.
Michael Keaton, the Michael
Yes,
Keaton
we
one,
had
and then
two
we had
different Michael Keatons. There was one with a
animated-
black shirt and one with a purple shirt. I had both of them.
I just bought
But-
that black shirt off TeePublic. Somebody made it.
Yes,
I had it for years. I almost wore it tonight because
Yes.
he could look like Bruce Wayne. I
Yep.
love that.
I do want that shirt. I've seen that on TeePublic. That's right. That's funny. Yeah, it's funny. Like, you know, these things that we remember, like the little accessories for these that are just gone in the universe now. Like, you'll never find these certain accessories ever again. They're just, you know, I had the the '89 Batman with the ratcheting belt that would come out of from the movie one. I think Adam's got like 2 or 3 of them. Mine, the belt's all broke, and just this loose wire that just hangs out of his
It
crotch
just
now.
limply hangs out. Yep, that's mine too. Some I cut off because I just couldn't look at it anymore.
Yep.
All right. How about we do a little accessory association here?
No.
Let's see if you guys could do this. So I have a bag of accessories because, yeah, you're going to lose them. And then what are you going to do? So first off, I'll do an easy one here, but do you know what this went to?
Morph.
Yeah. So we got a Morph alternate head. We got the Wolverine. We got the evil Morph. Okay. So how about this one?
Apocalypse.
Yeah, Apocalypse alternate arm there. Okay. How about this one? Do you remember
Beast.
this?
Yeah.
Very good. This was, and
Very
again,
well.
this had a chain with a suction cup, and he was supposed to hang on that giant, heavy, bulky figure.
Yeah.
Was going to happen. All right. This one's a little harder. This is a missile that went to a figure.
The Toe Tickler.
I will say it's a character that was mentioned earlier.
Superpowers line?
This actually Toy Biz Punisher, because remember on the show he couldn't actually shoot bullets or anything. It was all like glue guns and like nets and stuff, and this is like his glue that he shoots out at people.
They turned Punisher into Kevin McAllister.
It looks like a limp
Right.
Loki staff.
Frank
Anyway.
Castle, Home
Have a
Alone.
little fun there. Lee, did you have any more, or that you wanted to show us, or I just wanted to?
Oh, I have the only, just to keep with the Marvel one, I did forget about this one. I found
Ooh,
this.
nice.
And this was one that I rebought. Again, this was an eBay purchase for my son because he knows, you know, all it takes is seeing one Google image search of a bunch of X-Men toys, and all of a sudden we're getting begged for old stuff.
Mhm.
How on the Archangel, like the missiles, you had to flick off his wings.
Yes.
Like, they weren't spring loaded or anything.
And they're somewhere under a couch somewhere, I'm sure, in this house.
Real quick here, I did want to ask you guys too, because a big feature of Wizard, and then it moved over to Toy Fair, were the homemade heroes. So I talked about earlier how I customized my Spider-Man to be a symbiote Spider-Man. But did you guys ever attempt that? Did you ever try to create a character you didn't see on the shelf or on the peg?
I tried to create a Quicksilver with a Quicksilver. Like, basically, this is a Silverhawk that I was trying to give, like, Xavier paint job, but it was gonna turn into Pietro before we actually got one. Like, I cut up a lot of, like, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves to make Speed Racer, and I wouldn't even call it customizing, because it was never, like, great. But, like, I don't think I had the right tools, but this was in that box. I also regrettably ruined my bluegrass trying to make Multiple Man. So all these, like, potentially good Silverhawks are now just idiots, not quite Toy Biz X.
That is awesome, Will.
That's funny.
Man.
That's cool.
See,
Matt, I saw you because especially with G.I. Joes, you could customize.
I did, and I have one that I've actually painted. Geez, over 20 years ago now. It's still up on the shelf.
wow.
And did anyone watch Iron Chef?
Sure.
The show Iron Chef? Yeah, sure.
The show Iron Chef? I customized Chairman Kaga.
Did you really?
I did.
That's funny.
It's the Worms, the driver of the Cobra Maggot, with the head of Sci-Fi 2, and it's like all painted up in like a black tux, and I painted the little ribbons and everything.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was hoping you were going to do like the announcer, get like a Mark Dacascos figure from somewhere, and then like jam that.
Maybe one day.
I do want to mention real quick. So for one thing I did is I'm not the greatest. Like I tried it back in the day, and I tried to like create my homemade heroes, and it didn't work out so well. But one of the figures that I always loved was the Undercover Dawn figure from Ninja Turtles. But it always upset me because on the show, they all had their trench coats and they would go out and walk the streets, but they only ever made Dawn, right?
Mhm.
And so what I did a couple of years back is I have a friend who's a really great, like just sculptor and painter and customizer and stuff. So I just reached out to him and I was like, can you get me a full quartet of turtles? I'll send you a bunch of Dawns. So he made me a Leo. And what he did was he gave each one their actual different color scheme, because if you remember the figures, each of them had a little different shade of green.
Mhm.
As did that, and then they each got their own coats. So there's Mikey, different color hats, and then here's Raph, So the
that's
fact
cool.
that I have all four of them now, the way I always wanted, like it was
Very
one of my
nice.
favorite customs, even though it wasn't me doing it. But
Hi, honey. I'm going to mail out a bunch of Ninja Turtles to some random guy to paint them for me. Don't worry how much I'm going to pay him. It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
damn it, friendship.
So I'll tell you a funny fact, right? So I was never brave enough to paint or like modify my action figures, but many of you probably know, have heard me talk about my love for Lego. I have a deep, deep passion for Lego. And long before Lego had licenses for Marvel or DC or whatever, I would deconstruct all of my Lego figures and take the minifigs apart, and I would build Batmobiles, and I would take every single black arm, leg, whatever, and make like black suited Lego figures to make a modified Batman kind of a thing, and did this for years. And my entire room was just like all modified Legos that were all meant to be like my versions of Batmobiles and stuff like that. That was my thing.
See, that's awesome. Wherever you can find it, right? Whatever's your medium.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to just go back to Will real quick. I love the levels of Quicksilver becoming Quicksilver. I just blows my mind. It's amazing.
I never really did a ton of figures. I would do figures. I would build gadgets and things, because the thing that always bothered me about toy commercials is like the figures are fighting in these like back alley like play sets, and then it's like playset not available, so then it's like you got to build your own. So like you're buying dumb novelty candy just to get barrels because the powder came in it. But like I remember I made a bat signal with like Flintstones push-ups, because like it kind of had that like half of a barbell thing going on. So it was like I would like draw the circle and then draw the bat and then tape it to it and then just like put it up on places. So like Robin, the signal's up, and then I would build like gadgets for me, like with constructs, and I was a fat kid, so they weren't gonna hold me, but I built grappling hooks and fell off my second floor. I built bat ropes and things like that. I was more into like the role play creation than the but I still needed my environment, because I don't know if anyone else was like this. I made the realization at one point where I was like, my G.I. Joes never actually like walk from one spot to another. They were always blown some. Like G.I. Joe never just went for a stroll. It was always like, hey, blown over to the other side of the battlefield. It's like you gotta have something waiting for him over there. And I remember like
for my cousin and myself, anytime we had like the Joes, it was all about rule number one was if the package said you could fit four figures on the vehicle, we wanted to see how many you could fit on it more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see how far the vehicle would go, we had a slide and we'd put the vehicle at the top of the slide. And when it got to the bottom, lift the slide up and watch it just fly through the air and see how many figures stayed on it at the time.
Most of my vehicles were broken because I would take the wheels off like to show damage. And then after a while, you break the peg.
Yeah. So Lee, you said you have your passion was the animated series action figures, right? So I've never even told you this, Adam. This is breaking news for you here. So long before I went to college, my family wanted me to be an engineer, and I was taking like AutoCAD classes and drawing classes, and I was taking like metal shop and wood shop and everything in high school and middle school. And I designed the Batman animated series grappling gun in AutoCAD, and I started welding it and making it in wood shop and metal shop.
Whoa.
And had the rope on a coil and everything. And they were like, how are you going to fire this? I'm like, oh, I need to get like CO2. And they wouldn't let me do it. I'm like, I could put a little gasket on it, load the thing in, like we were firing out of a paintball gun and trying to shoot it. And I literally had most of it constructed, but the school would not, because like you're shooting a projectile out of this thing. They would not let me do it.
They had parents in protective custody.
Yes.
You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. You build that
now, Michael.
Of course I do. It's up. Yeah, of course it's up there. Yeah, but but no, literally, I designed the whole thing. I had got this like really thin metal coil wire. It could only have shot maybe like 10 feet because the way that it was spool up and everything. But I had this thing. I could have literally just popped in like a CO2. You'd use it a paintball gun. You'd hit a button and it would shoot, but they wouldn't let me do it. And I was so mad. I could never fire this thing.
I have one more question for you guys, because there, so many action figures came with, snap-on accessories, or in the later weird X-Men ones, like monster outfits and masks to put on and all this stuff. So I used to do that with silly putty, different like colors of silly putty, and I would build onto the figures and like add like accessories with those, or like tin foil, and like create weapons or extensions or armor for them and things like that, or build it out of cardboard. Like, did you guys ever make your own accessories for your figures? Did you ever go that far?
Oh yeah, I made it.
So I had one. So my Aquaman, like this staff broke, and I took a fork and broke one of the stems of a fork off and made it into a trident. I was like 5 years old. I was like, I don't know. It worked great.
What were you saying, Tom?
I made a little cable car for my G.I. Joes that I would string up across the room. It wasn't very impressive. My mum was very into crafting when I was a kid. She was always into stamping or quilling or something like that. But somehow she ended up with this like ball of yarn. Like, and when I say yarn, I don't mean like fabric stuff. I mean that like papery yarn that you might wrap presents in, something like that. So I somehow ended up rigging it across my room and like using the box as the actual cable car, and then like the Joes would go across the room and like take shots at the Cobra troops down the bottom, and that's
so it's kind of like, what were those? Were Sky Raiders?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah. Though I didn't
Sky Commanders.
Sky Commanders,
yeah.
But similar principle, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And of course, do the obligatory action movie thing of like, one of them's hanging out and holding the hand of another one who's like, no, you gotta hold me, man, like all that sort of stuff.
Tell the future about me.
Let me go. No,
So yeah, for like all those kind of things. But then like actually when Toy Fair started coming out and they were doing all the little toy pictures, a friend and I did like a toy wrestling federation, and we would take pictures of them and everything. And I cannot to this day find them. I'd love to have them, but we actually used like paper towel and stuff to like make like little neck braces for Scott Hall and everything. It's like running around with like a neck brace on the figure. And I think I put one on Tex Hex at some point from Brave Star.
Love it. All right. Well, we're going to move on here we wanted to kind of test out with you guys and give you kind of a preview of what toy fairs can be and will be when we're actually going through an issue. And so, like, at this point, when we give people, we're just adding now the Watchers tier to Patreon, where you can sign up and literally be invited to every recording. So of Wizards, of toy fairs, you get to sit in the wings and watch. You pay a little more, you get the exclusive access there, but then you can be giving us comments throughout the conversations. If we have a question like, hey, like this thing we don't understand, and then you're like, oh no, it was in this issue. Oh, okay, there we get it, those type of things. So we wanted to go through now and just, we'll start like going through the first Toy Fair special. And then we did drop the PDF link on Patreon for you guys if you want to look it over yourselves, or just whatever starts popping up on screen here. You tell us what you like. But I just thought it's worth starting, Michael, if we go down and just look at the toy ads that start off the issue. So if you go to, let me see, I feel like there's supposed to be something before that first page that's just a toy ad. Where'd it go?
You failed in the scan. You failed.
I guess so, because in my scan it's there. So I'm like, did I drop a different scan there?
Yeah, there's a bunch of ads. Like, what is this? Hangar 18, which is like a mail order company.
Like a bunch of them. Do you see that if you go all the way to the very first after the cover?
Yeah, I don't have it.
It's so weird. Okay, fair enough then.
Do you have it open in your computer?
Yeah. I mean, we can switch.
Here, so share yours. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do that then. All right, now I do want to ask this real quick while we're pulling that up for you guys. Did you have anybody either have a subscription or what's your earliest toy fair? Was there because for me, I feel like there was specific issues that I wanted to pick up because I'm it's talking about this, or they'd show a line that I cared about on the cover. Did you guys have one of those?
They did specials before they started the regular, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I bought all the specials, and then once they started going monthly, I was just like, I've got to have this. And I didn't subscribe, but every time I saw an issue, I was buying it.
Okay. Anybody else?
I had a subscription to Wizard for years, but Toy Fair was one of those ones where, at Walden Books, I would pull it off of the rack and just look through all the pages to look for new toys coming out kind of thing. And I would look for the jokes at the back and basically I bought very few issues now that I think back on it, but I went through a ton of them basically just, in the magazine area of Walden Books.
Yeah, I got the special, I think it was number 2. It's the one with the Mego style giant size X-Men on the cover. I'm pretty sure that's the second special. But I didn't buy it. My best friend Brett and I used to trade back and forth. So I'm pretty sure he bought it and I acquired it. But then over time, I started buying it at the shop. I never got a subscription, but it was kind of the same way Maxim and Stuff. A lot of people don't remember Stuff. Stuff was the superior magazine, and Toy Fair
Stuff
was
had one F, right? Stuff was one F.
Well, there was FHM. No, Stuff had 2 Fs, but half the time the hot girl was blocking 1 F. It's one of those things.
That might be why.
Yeah, but I loved Toy Fair. From a toy collector standpoint, though, Tomart's was better. I felt they got better access, even though their editing and all that was worse. But it was Wizard was the cool kid, so of course you're gonna go in with you already knew them from Wizard, so you follow through with Toy Fair. But I'll say I'm still tracking down Tomart stuff. I'm not trying to track down Toy Fair stuff. That's just the legacy I feel that it left behind, because outside of Twisted Toy Fair Theater, there wasn't a ton of meat there after a while. Especially when they start struggling. You start noticing the magazine sharing stories. You'll see half of it in Wizard and kind of a remix of it in Toy Fair. If it was let's say, a figure line that pertained to a superhero movie that was about to come out. That kind of situation. So,
are these the ads you're referring to?
Yeah, that's it right there.
Oh, I definitely had that Defiant. I remember that.
Yeah, so let's get into this here. Yeah, because I kept flipping through my scan and I'm like, why can't I find it? But it's because it's from the first issue of Toy Fair.
Not the special.
The first special.
It's
So let's just talk about this real quick because, I mean, the sheer amount of action figures that were being thrown at us is what's amazing. Like just the volume of what was being produced at the time. And so like, Will, for you, like looking at this page, like there's one area I think is your area of interest. So you tell me, like, what was jumping out at you?
It would have been Star Trek, but I was done at this point. Because Playmates was all over the place. You'll see they're saying Ultra Trek figures and Masterpiece Edition. They started doing too much. Like, after Generations, because Generations was a low point for the Playmates stuff where they took out a lot of the articulation and the figures don't mesh well with what had come before. I was done, but from this page, that's the area I would care about, especially because I still want a Defiant. I never got a Defiant, and that's probably one of my favorite ships. So that's definitely where my eyes would have been drawn.
And that's the only thing I have on this whole page. I had that Defiant because, like you, Will, I didn't care about the figures by this point, but the ships I still loved. So, like at Christmas birthdays, I'd be like, can I get the Defiant? Can I get the new Enterprise? That kind of thing. So the Playmate ships I still kept up with up to this point.
Did you guys ever collect the Eagle Moss ones?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever collect the Eagle Moss Star Trek ships they used to have? I have a ton of the Batmobiles, so I was curious.
I didn't because that was near the end for Eagle Moss. Like, there's some we still didn't really get, I thought.
Yeah, I have a couple. I have, like, the Enterprise from the films.
So were those the chess sets, or were they just little
so they're little models, basically. They're like 1/18th scale models. They're real,
and they're basically die-cat.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
They're lead. That's the problem. Is they're lead, and they come from the UK. So the way they're able to sell them in America is you're being sold the magazine, and the figure is like a bonus. It's like the cereal toy. Like they were listed in previews, and we used to get a ton. I used to have, before they did the chess sets, like when they just did straight Marvel and straight DC, I had those, and during like a bout of unemployment, I sold them for like nothing, and I hate that. But like, they did everything, and they are lead, like, do not put them in your baby's mouth figures.
I've got a few of the figures themselves of like the people I collect.
You guys are going to be in for a treat in a moment.
I was going to say, Michael's got plenty of them, yeah.
You don't. I had a real mental illness.
So, Michael, scroll down a little bit here for
us.
So, obviously, there's the Kiss figures. We'll talk about that later. I don't need to get into that right now. What I wanted to focus on was the Marvel Hall of Fame She-Force 2 series. What I thought was so fascinating about the Marvel Hall of Fame figures, you can only get them at KB Toys, right? That was the spot to find them, really. And I mean, I think you could order them too, but like, I didn't see them anywhere but KB Toys. Obviously, like, it was all repaints. It was all like, kit bashing to like create a new figure. But the majority of them felt like they were the female figures, because there was that idea of, the female figures don't sell. We're not going to push them in the main line. And when they did this, it was so crazy to me. I was like, there were so many untapped characters. Nowadays, everybody wants.
Can we just notice that Dazzler is spelt wrong? I just happened to notice. I was like, wait a minute, that's spelt wrong.
I do not remember those at all.
X Factor, Jean Grey. We have Tigra. We have young Miss Marvel. Okay, and that's not how they spelled Miss Marvel either. It's like Little Miss Marvel.
Little Miss Marvel. She-Hulk is a weird character because it like has hot streaks and then gone for a while. It comes here and there. And I think, was this before the Peter David run?
I think it's during.
Wasn't
this 98?
So this is like late 90s era. That didn't come up till like the 2000s, or
it was early 2000s.
Yeah. So, but did you guys ever invest in the Marvel Hall of Fame figures? Were you willing to go and be like, oh, these cheapo repaints? No,
I didn't know they existed. I didn't even know this existed.
Playmates really ruined the meaning of Hall of Fame, because they did that same thing with X-Men, where you could get like the first, like you would get all of like Wave 2 in a box. And it looks really great, like it's the Hall of Fame X-Men, but what they don't tell you is the figures were like glued to the base. So they were more trophies. It was for your shelf, but it's like they have all the articulation, but they crazy glued them to the base. Like, same Brett, he got it for Christmas and he took it back because he was like, I can't do anything with these figures. So after that, Hall of Fame meant nothing except like KB repainted Rogue for the 12th time, you know? So I stayed away from it. They did the same with Power Rangers. Power Rangers had like a Power Rangers Legends line at KB where they would just repackage what used to be Toys R Us exclusives, but they also got some stuff from like Europe that we didn't get in America, like late in the line, but it was just KB exclusive on these new 3 for $10 cards.
Yeah. So Michael, can you go back to the special again?
Sure, I can go back here. So let me real quick
What was
before
that,
I do
Tom?
that. So this is my Eagle Moss display case, by the way.
That's gotta be some strong glass.
Very nice.
That is not a Detolf right there.
It is not a Detolf, no. But yeah, this is I have every DC hero and every Marvel hero in the chest pieces. And some of the lead pieces as well. Yeah. That took me about 10 years to do this. It took me a very long time to...
That's kind of insane.
And those are not cheap because the
nice.
magazine was like $15.
I also
and
have
that's
I have the chessboard, have these little base plate stands for them. I went nuts. And the most expensive one that I ever bought was Sue Storm, because you could only get it in the UK, and I had to find a guy in the UK to buy it for me and ship it to me because I couldn't buy it in the United States. It was so crazy. Oh yes, yeah, I've heard of those. No, this was a real problem for a while. A real problem.
So let's go into the issue here, and why don't we scroll down? I wanted to go to a friend of ours. This is just if you look at page 11, there is a familiar face but almost unrecognizable in this toy version. But it says Rob Liefeld Toy Properties in Limbo.
11.
Didn't we just change issues? Because I saw the X-Men cover.
Right,
that's the winter special.
I flipped it back.
Listen, I'm jumping around here
because we're going to be covering the first issue and the first episode, so we don't want to give it all away right now. So I guess my question here is what they're talking about is that there is, Trend Masters created prototypes for Prophet and Youngblood action figures, but right now, they said there's nothing to talk about really on those two items. As far as Prophet and Youngblood go, there's nothing planned at this time. They do a Prophet figure does eventually come out. Of course, previously, McFarlane had produced some Youngblood figures as well. So I guess my question is, did you, on the McFarlane front, because we haven't brought that up with anybody yet, were there any characters that you would have purchased just because they look cool, but you weren't reading the comic, or would you only buy it if you cared about the comics? Because I feel like with the McFarlane figures, a lot of people were just like, nothing else looks like this. I want it. So if it was a Youngblood Shaft figure or Badrock or whoever, you're like, I don't really like the comic, but they look kind of awesome. Where do you guys fall on that?
Party Angela. That was the only one. I hated McFarlane.
Michael's shaking his head like he's never heard of this. We all know we know about Party Angela.
No, I'm just thinking about the editing I have to do.
Hey,
God.
Just one long damage control.
Lord. Yeah, exactly. You just put it up over the screen there.
Just a long bleep for like a minute and a half.
Yeah,
but
now,
no, for me, the McFarlane figures.
Toys, there's another piece in this I thought that talks a little bit about some Battlestar Galactica toys, and I don't know if you guys like were even plugged into Battlestar Galactica, because I know I wasn't.
The toys is kind of Liefeld adjacent. He had the license somehow at that time.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to ask about here, because this is page 17, Michael, of the issue.
Okay.
And if you look at the figures, and in that ad we were looking at before, they're definitely Liefeld designs. He was doing the comic book series at the time, which for some reason I have all the issues of. I don't like Liefeld or Battlestar Galactica, but it was an oddity of the time, so I just grabbed them in a back issue bin. But like, they don't mention anything about Liefeld, or a tie-in comic, or that they came packed in with a comic. Maybe they couldn't rely. Maybe Rob wasn't releasing them or finishing them fast enough to get them packaged with the toys. But that just seems odd to me. It seems like there would have been more synergy on that front.
Something weird here, though, is like this is now the second time we talked about Trendmasters, and this is the only time, like, this is them striking while the iron's hot, because they got the ID4 license that kind of made them legitimate, but then they would go on to put out some like junk. But I bring that up because like that Cylon Raider ship, that does appear in either like the ID4 line or like somewhere. Like there is a ship that shape with a different sheen to it, because I had it like a year ago. I don't know what it was called. But it was like Trendmasters had this like 97, 98. They had the Extreme Ghostbusters line, which is very hard to find these days. And now like it's interesting to see them pick up all this stuff, but nothing's gonna come from.
Yeah, did they also do Godzilla, or was that a different company? The
That
Godzilla movie
was
toys.
them, I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened to that movie. Like they went
Yeah.
all in on it, and
Michael, take us to a page 24 here, The Power of the Force. Here's the thing we're not going to be able to escape as we read through issues of Toy Fair is Kenner, Hasbro, Star Wars toys, because they were of that generation, right? These Gen X guys, Star Wars was everything to them, and now it was being flooded into stores, everything you could ever want for Star Wars. And so I haven't heard anybody mention Star Wars in our conversation tonight. So this is my question. Did you get in on the Power of the Force line? Did you get in on, the Phantom Menace line? Like, where did you fall on Star Wars toys, guys?
Oh, I love Star Wars, but this time was too crazy. It's like green card, orange card, this sticker, this, that. And it's like, stop it. I don't need a buff Luke Skywalker. Like, I just want Luke to look like Luke.
Mm-hmm. The re-release?
Special editions, yeah.
Interesting.
I bought, I think, 2 of them in my entire life, but oddly enough, in my home at one point, because of my stepbrother, every single figure from these lines was in my house.
Wow.
But it was much like my brother at 12 was like Michael is today with the glass cases and his daughters. I was like, to him, it was like, look, do not touch. And so I go into his room and there was millions of Star Wars figures. And I was always more of a Star Trek guy anyway, so I didn't really care. But
So
I looked like, this is incredible.
But he was Buzz to your Kevin in Home Alone.
Yes, very much so. But he ended up selling. Like, he ended up getting way into guitars and everything, and he sold that whole collection for an amazing amount of money. That bought a bunch of amazing instruments. But yeah. So I've seen all these figures, but never really touched them.
That's amazing. Yeah, because
that line got me and my friends bad, because we were in the perfect age for that. And the first series were terrible. They all looked like pro wrestlers as big as they were. they got better over time. But me and my friends were all about the time we had our first apartments in college. The special editions were in the theaters. We had jobs. We went crazy with the Power of the Force, and it got better as it went along in terms of the quality of the sculpts and all that. But yeah, I had them all at some point, and I go to the comic store now, and I'll see the old ones on card or whatever, the ridiculous over muscled ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a half off day. I'll get one. I'll put it up in the garage wall or something.
Like,
but
I wonder if they were just so ubiquitous that nobody like is like super passionate now, because they're just like, well, they were like water. They were just everywhere. So
yeah,
they weren't rare.
I mean, Toys R Us, big box, drugstore, comic store, they were just, like you said, absolutely everywhere. I don't think there's really a rare or chase one in the bunch, really. But yeah, I was the perfect age for that, 76. So it got me and my friends big time.
It was a lot like Playmate Star Trek, because Playmate Star Trek now you can get for less than when it was new. And it's the same with Power of the Force. I go in vintage toy shops all the time with walls of them, and they might have $8 on it, but they aren't moving. You know, like, it's just there were too many. And I remember no one ever talks about the execution of this feature, but I was fascinated by the Comtech reader from the Phantom Menace toys, because every figure came with that Comtech chip, and then you put it on that weird beetle-looking walkie-talkie thing. And I've never seen it other than like in-store displays. That was interesting to me because I'm a Trekkie. I'm not a Star Wars person, but I just remember all of those going to clearance, like bins of $1.98 Star Wars figures with those chips in them. And to this day, like, I want to see someone use that chip. You never find them thrifting. You never find the Comtech reader thrifting, but you find the figures. And I just never, like, did any of you all have experience with it? Was it like one quote from the movies? Was it maybe 3 and a lottery? Because I want to play with it.
IB, do you have one?
I never used it that way. I don't think I ever had a reader for it. And I had a pretty good amount of the figures.
That's interesting. Wow.
Right. There were a lot of, like, nobody really talks about it now, but there were a lot of, like, borderline anti-Semitic, like, pod racer dealer characters. Just kind of like, I don't know if kids are going to...
But I wanted to go back to this Power of the Force line real quick, just because, like, I bought, like, Yoda figures, but I bought them as gifts for my dad because my nickname growing up was Yoda. And so for some reason, I always gave him Yoda stuff. Like, remember you called me Yoda? Like, so
were you a short, wrinkly man?
Yeah, exactly. And so
and green.
Yeah, and green. No, I came out all like purple and weird and like all.
You Benjamin Buttoned when
like,
you came out.
Like Yoda. Yeah. But then when Power of the Force came out, you know, I was a heavier kid in high school, and we had this. I got pulled into this group. I wasn't a sports fan, but my best friend was. So he would have us go be like the super fans at the sports games, where we would like paint our faces, colors. And my big thing was rip off my shirt and slap my giant belly, right? And so my friend got me the Rancor Keeper from the Power of the Force line and wrote Pope on the belly, and he's like, "This is you." I'm like, "Thank you," but it looked more like my dad. The Rancor Keeper, he looks like my dad. So I was just like, there's too many levels here with Star Wars action figures, and anyway, so that was what I always associated with it. But yeah, but otherwise, like, I just never jumped on board and said like, "Oh, this is something I have to have with me at all times," except for Yoda. Many Yodas. Michael, jump down real quick as we get ready to close out here, because it's getting late for a lot of you guys. If we go to page 20 of this, no, what is it? 53, my bad. 53 of the scan. So obviously we know that Wizard Magazine was always doing the half issues that they were doing your mail away orders for. But in this issue, they started launching their customized exclusive figures that had never been produced of characters that you would maybe not even want, like 53, Michael, if you jump up there. Yeah. So
I don't have it, dude.
What is coming up with the scan on your
It
side?
goes from 454.
I don't
Redacted.
Yeah, all right. Flip it back to me.
Release
Let
the
me
Toy
do
Fair
it.
file.
Was it the Daredevil?
All right. Let's do it. All right. So this is who we're talking about here. We are talking about the one and only Molten Man. Okay. So the Molten Man, a Spider-Man villain with a real weird situation, I guess, like who he's related to and all those things. But they decided that he was the one that they wanted to promote and make a big deal about. So I, maybe against my better judgment, I guess, I don't know, like said, well, we got to be completists over here for the archives. So
No, you bought one.
added to the collection the Molten Man. Okay. Now, this figure is so discolored. His arm, by the way, is stuck that way. I am afraid to try to put it down. It is so stiff. And like the joints on the feet are great, but anything on the shoulders up here, like you don't want to mess with. In fact, I had to repair this arm. It was sent in the original box that Congers, New York is what it says at the top here, with ancient shredded documents. Like I could tape this stuff together and maybe learn the
Penguin in Batman Returns.
With the discoloration, he almost looks like Mr. Universe Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, he does.
Right?
Like the little tights.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate that this was their first figure they produced. Again, I have to imagine that these were just flooded their warehouse and they never got rid of them. Because who ordered this? Like, it's an exclusive figure, so maybe people are just like, I want to have a complete Spider-Man collection. It's not complete if I don't have the Molten Man.
Well, first off, there's some other discoloration that bothers me, but if I bring attention to it, Michael's going to make a face. So I'm not going to...
The midsection?
You're there saying, who ordered this? You did.
You did.
There needs to be a new Hoarders called For the Archives. I gotta have space for the
Hoarders Buried Alive, Adam Pope special.
Yeah.
But you said Spider-Man was your line. And if you didn't order him then, who did?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because I just looked at it and I remember being like, I just don't want this. There's a reason Toy Biz didn't make it. I'm sure they
He wanted it 30 years later, though.
There were a bunch of comic retailers who thought they were sitting on a gold mine. They blew them out somewhere around 2003 at Chicago Comic-Con. But that first round, that was all retailers. Like, oh, exclusive figures, I gotta have these.
I mean, luckily, they did have another bullet in the chamber because for the second special, the winter special, they gave us Kitty Pryde. And the Kitty Pryde one was actually pretty decent in that she had a cloth, blouse, she had the belt. It felt like a totally new, sculpt and paint. So they did a good job at that one. It's too bad they couldn't put that with the issue that had the X-Men on the cover. It would have made more sense, the Molten Man. But just from a historical perspective, I thought that was interesting. All right. Well, like I say, it's getting late for everybody. Will has had a big long birthday.
Tom, what time is it in where you are? What time is it now?
It's not even 9:00 where I'm at. Tom's all good. I'll be here for hours.
He's like, I'm getting out of dinner with my in-laws, but we stay on longer.
Yeah, but Michael, can you see if you can find page 64? Let's see if that's part of your skit, or if you want me to do it, I'll do it.
I do. I believe I do have that page. Yes.
I do not know what's going on with your scan over there. Yeah.
Toy Fair files.
All right. So this is their first listing and selections for the top 10 hottest action figures. How did the monkey face Leia make number one? Isn't that what we're looking at here? Wasn't that her whole thing? People were just like, who sculpted this? And
I think
were
they
so-
wanted it because she was such a freak of nature. And isn't there like a running change or something where she looks better? So it's like, that's the toy crowd, where it's like, I want the one before they fixed it.
Okay,
And
yes.
it's probably short packed too. That's the other piece.
Yeah, but like the top two are Princess Leia figures. And then, of course, we get the number 4. You know, they couldn't help themselves. Like Michael had to turn off his screen because he is so disgusted by the flashing Obi-Wan. But doesn't that the question, like, were they just realizing that they could get away with it because Wizard was so powerful, or were they just testing the boundaries with this special? Because it seems as though Kenner is not going to be happy about this. Hasbro is going to contact them after the fact. Man, can you please not show our characters, you know, in this light?
I feel like I'm going to have to track down that Max figure now.
That Max
Yes, good
figure
luck
is
with
very expensive. I've looked for that Max figure before. It is not cheap.
But we also have to say, for Tom, look who they have down there for their Mort of the Month, their castaway for the Island of Misfit Toys. We have the Phantom, but an unfortunate Phantom. This is, the head sculpt is the problem. Obviously, heads were hard in the late 90s. They just couldn't figure it out. Although Billy D is looking pretty good.
So I did a quick dig in my room. So I found that Spider-Man I was referring to. He's lacking one arm and the suction cup is gone. So there's that.
You chewed it off, no doubt.
I probably did. Who knows? And then I found that penguin that's in that ad with the...
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I was going to ask, how many of us have any of these figures, you know, within arm's reach? Because they are a pretty, like, aside from those top 4 being all Star Wars, like, the back half of the list is kind of random. I mean, it is, you know, I feel at least well-deserved to say, okay, well, that Rhino figure was pretty cool. It had awesome accessories. He was giant. Malbolgia was giant, but you weren't paying giant prices, right, at retail. I mean, it's slightly bigger, but it wasn't like out of this world, you know? So, I don't know. But they do seem to be very interested in bulky figures.
That penguin isn't even really timely. Because, I mean, even though it's pseudo Batman Returns inspired, Batman the Animated Series design, they're about to get on the new Batman Adventure design, which is a completely different penguin. So to think that this version is still hot in like 97, 98 is just interesting to me.
And I have the New Adventures Joker here, actually, funny enough. I just found that too.
With no lips.
His little beady eyes. But they do say here that it is because the penguin was short packed. So it is the rarity factor, like they're saying, for the hottest toys, right? So, and that would be the reason there.
Now, is this the second version of Two-Face? This is the New Adventures one?
What do you say?
That's the original for sure. That's downstairs somewhere in my son's collection too.
Cool.
That's from the original, yeah.
So all of those somebody gave me recently. They're going to throw them away, and I was like, I'll take them.
Yeah, no. I mean, actually, the last one I'll definitely show tonight is the Combat Belt Batman. This one I had to hunt down. I bought, I think, like $100 worth of figures, and he was included with like another like 7 figures that no one wanted. But I was like, well, if this one's in there, I'll pay, top dollar for like this because of the rest of the junk just to get this. Because
that's a great figure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would never get him in the package anymore. I mean, like, I just had to find him loose. I was happy.
I have these two. This is animated series. This is the New Adventures version.
I did bring a couple more. I pulled down my Secret Wars Iron Man to bring.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Man, love it.
Yeah, Iron Man is my number 1 comic guy. And then Since I'm a G.I. Joe guy, gotta
Snake
bring the
armor.
vintage snake armor.
I just
That's
got that. I
really
have one of those in my
Those
attic.
are so good.
They are so good.
That stuff.
If we're going Secret Wars, I do have to share my Black Costume Secret
Nice.
Wars figure.
Oh,
I love it
That's a
so
great
much.
figure.
No, this is
That-
original.
that's
Yeah.
original.
You can see the faded card there, kind of on the back. But yeah, this is
On
this
my
is the
shelf
only
right
one I-
over there,
Yeah,
I've got the Tower of Doom.
Oh, nice.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that. So the one thing we really haven't discussed, and I feel like we were all of this era, was the wrestling figures. And so I have one
Oh,
of
the
my two
Hasbro.
one of my two Hulk Hogan's, and I was obsessed with this line of figures at this time, like in the mid to the 90s or whatever. I love these kind of figures. I had so many of them. The Ultimate Warrior. This is
Yes.
the only one that survived. It's the only one that survived.
The Ultimate Warrior was my absolute favorite from that line. I didn't have a ton of them, but the Ultimate Warrior one was amazing.
For me, growing up in the
there we
South,
go. The Dead Man.
Nice.
I didn't have WWF. It was all about WCW.
WCW,
so
yes.
I never had those, and the WCW figures that existed were god awful.
Yeah, they were bad.
And so the first wrestling figures I really started buying was when Jakks Pacific started the bone crunching actions for like the WWF and the Attitude Era.
That's
Yeah, I
funny.
go back to LJN. See, I got my Mean Gene, got my Roddy Piper
The
here.
Lethal Weapons.
But
Jacks
yeah.
were better for playing with. They were much better. Like, Mattel makes figures for collectors, even if it's the basic line, but Jacks were a lot more fun to wrestle with. And I feel
Mhm.
like Jazzwares has brought that with the AEWs, if you can find them. Like, they're the perfect mixture of, like, it would look good on a shelf, but I can still do moves with it. Well, like, I think Mattel has left that behind quite a while ago.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen, like, any con you go to, any show, the sheer volume of wrestling figures in totes, you're just like, I can't believe how many wrestling figures there
There's
are.
so many. It's unbelievable.
That we've got a Washington State toy show that they do up here, and there's usually one or two vendors that have just like totes and totes and totes of loose figures, and always 2 or 3 of those totes are like loose wrestling figures from like 2000 up, and it's just like so many. No, I'm not touching that.
And just the sheer volume of people who, like, they're released by the time their first time in the line figure comes
Yeah.
out.
Right.
They went through tooling for that, and they're just not even on the roster anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's funny. Same. No.
Does she like the action? Does she like the soap opera storylines? Like, what's she interested in?
The
All of
outfits.
Yeah. 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 So as we close out here, we're in the holiday season. So I just want to ask for all of you guys, is there like a holy grail or just like a figure that is on your mind or one you're hunting? If you could put it on your list for Santa, please, Christmas morning, I want to have this figure under the tree. Again, it could be from childhood, what you always wanted you never got, or it could just be right now. You're like, I can't get my hands on it. Like, but I gotta have it, you know?
We're not buying it for you as a gift, patrons.
The coffers are not that.
Look under your chairs.
You get a toy. You get a toy. You get a toy.
If you put what I'm looking for under my chair, I would thank you forever.
Yeah.
For me, I have a photo of me as a kid standing next to the Crystar Crystal Castle. And if I could find that again, I've seen it on eBay once, and it was like $800, $900.
Wow.
It's like, oh,
was it one of those that was
stay.
taller than you, or was that only the Sectars one that was gigantic?
The Sectars one was pretty big. The box, God, I was maybe like 7 or 8. It still came up to about chest high, the box did. So it was pretty big. But that would be my big thing.
Yeah, I never got the Dino Riders T-Rex, and I always wanted it. And if you try to find the anything Dino Riders complete, I mean, I haven't gotten any of that stuff for my kid because that's the beginning of the end of my finances. So that T-Rex, I always want it. But it was even hard to find back when I was a kid. Like you could go to the toy store that Christmas and it was just not going to be something you could find.
Yeah,
one of the toy shops around here
had like Triceratops, and that was it, you know. God,
I was shocked by how much those things are.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
All right, who else has got one? Wait, is that the Keter action figure, or are you saying that's a Lego set?
No, he said Keter.
Okay, because I was like, wait, they did a glow-in-the-dark Swamp Thing Lego? Like, they really...
That would be amazing.
They did a glow-in-the-dark Swamp Thing Imaginext.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the regular one, the Imaginext one, but that's cool.
Yep.
That was a really fun line. Yeah. I have my snare arm, you know, just basic Swamp Thing figure still. I love playing with that. He's the best, yeah. I mean, I know Michael's got a list a mile long.
I'll give you a big one. I'll give you a big one. Remember when Batman 89 came out? It came out with a catalog of all the different action figures and whatever. And I'm sure I know Adam has it. I had the Batwing from that catalog, and a kid that was a friend of my dad's kids saw it at my house and threw it and broke the wings off. And it has been my life's mission to find a new one and replace that thing. That is my like white whale of collectibles that I'm looking for.
Not to seek vengeance on that kid.
Let me tell you, I beat. I'll stop there.
Well, it's your birthday. Did you get anything you were dreaming of?
I got G.I. Joe Classified Grim Viper, which I forgot I had on my Amazon wish list because I have this weird tick where I have to have 3 Vipers. Like, you can't have just one. But I had told myself the Grim Viper is like the Saw Viper, where you could just have one. So I had bought one myself, forgetting it was on the wish list, and my oldest gave it to me this morning. So now it's like, yay! But now I gotta find number 3. But like, I'm not great with money, so I pretty much have everything I want. I mean, I tried to look at my shelf for like holes. It's like, you can't see it, but it's the Hall of Justice from Superpowers. There's a bunch of like Kenner Knight Rider stuff. So it's like, what I want right now is, I recently found, if anybody's on TikTok, that's where I do a lot of toy stuff. It's at William B. West. But recently I showed my Black Friday haul, and I found the Diamond Select Toys, the Real Ghostbusters line. It's like really hard to, like, DST re-released these bucks a bunch on the movie figures. Like, oh, here they are with Santa hats. Oh, here they are. You know, here's the Ghostbusters 2 uniform. But they only made one wave of the cartoon influenced ones with the appropriate head sculpts. So I found Ray, Peter, and Egon carded. And it was one of those deals of like, well, if they have all four, I'll buy them. But I wasn't going to be stupid. Like, you never find them, especially like carded. So I bought those three. So my grail right now is Winston. Like, I got to find a Winston. On eBay, he's like 70. That's a little bit too much because the deal with these, it was at a comic shop where everything was 50% off. So each figure was like 70, but I paid 35. So like I can't go pay twice that for Winston, but I need to complete my Real Ghostbusters because we don't have modern sculpts. Kenner did that Ecto Glow re-release, which I kind of hate because it lowered the value of my vintage ones, like for San Diego, but we don't have modern articulation for the cartoon characters except for those. So right now I really need a Winston.
Oh, that's cool. From the Diamond Select Ghostbusters, I need to get myself a Janosch figure. You know, like that's what I want. Janosch Poha, man. He is my favorite character from Ghostbusters too. Michael's like, who? What are you even talking about? Go. Janosch.
Wow. Wow.
William Bruce West making dreams come true. And you love it. Ooh.
Ooh, that's cool.
Nice.
Get her a pair of glasses, right?
Have we talked about how there's also Amy Poehler Rogue? Like, if you get the Rogue who's in the Destiny 2.
So I will say, just for me, as far as, you know, the figures I'm dying to get, the one that is current that Michael knows because we were talking about it is, so I got my Spider-Man. Like, I don't buy Marvel Legends. That's not my thing. But when they release a Spider-Man 77 from the TV series, I'm going to buy it. And there's a ton still on the pegs at my local Walmarts. So I'm just waiting for them to go on clearance and then I'll buy a bunch more. But they're releasing a Hot Toys version of it, and I want to be like Michael and have at least one Hot Toy in my life, and that is the one I would want. But I'm sure it's like, what, $500 on eBay now or whatever. Like, there's no way I'm gonna get that.
But so do any of you collect Hot Toys? Do you know anything about Hot Toys at all? Okay, so I've been doing this now for, I don't even know, I've lost track how long. When it first drops certain exclusive ones, then they sell out really, really fast. People, what they do is they pre-order them, right? And you have to give a pre-order deposit. But then when the time comes around that they go to pay for it, some people that pre-ordered at the time realize, oh, I can't pay for this $400 toy. And they release it and they lose their hold. And then when you're on the wait list, you get an email, and I have it set up in notifications on my phone, my watch, and my email. As it comes through, I click a link and I'm right in. We want your $400, dummy.
Of course, we know you're going to be good for it. But I'll just say my last thing, it was brought up earlier. If there is a vintage figure that I want just because of its rarity, just because as a kid I never saw it anywhere and none of us did, it's the Blank from Dick Tracy. The Blank figure that gave away Madonna as the secret identity and all of that. Like, I would love to have that. That would just be so fun. Canada exclusive, the Blank.
Well, Adam, you want to sign us off here, and we'll wrap this guy up here?
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. This was so fun. This is everything we imagined it would be. The conversation flowed so freely. You guys brought plenty to the table. So We want to thank everybody who has joined Patreon recently. Looking forward to Toy Fairs. We can't wait to bring you the full show and full production value there. But in the meantime, we want to thank everybody for being here live with us. And hey, until next time, we'll see you, Patreon, and happy holidays to you all.